A drunken husband and wife con artist team stumble upon an opportunity to steal a cheap-looking diamond to pay off their debt to a Russian crime lord and some Catholics. We watch The Con Is On, starring Uma Thurman, today on Nothing Movies. And we're ready to go. Ready to roll now.
Yep, we're rolling.
Yeah.
Like Fred Durst in the early 2000s. We're
Keep
rolling.
roll, yeah.
Because he was a fan of Pillsbury cinnamon rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all
This is the opening,
this
is
is
it?
all great. It's the perfect encapsulation of my mental state currently, right now.
Yeah, we're
Right on the edge.
We're hanging in the ropes here, folks.
Welcome back, ladies and... Oh, nope, I don't do that anymore. I go as broad as possible. Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify. See, that's nice. It's cleaner. It's like dropping the off the Facebook. It's cleaner.
Okay.
To Nothing Movies, where we ask the question... The fuck is this? It's the podcast that goes through an actor's filmography and chooses the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something, or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I made it.
You sure did, Kaz.
I'm Kaz Lescard.
I'm Jameson Rafter. You know what? On the elevator ride up to my place, we were just talking about like how exhausted we are, and you know how this new play that you're doing is like just leaving you haggard and running you up the wall. We gotta find a shorter intro for us to do.
Nope. If anything, the intro's just gonna get bigger. Just gonna get longer.
All this self-flagellation
wanted
here.
to be like a quarter of the episode is just me introducing things.
Okay.
I'm not even introducing the podcast anymore.
Okay.
Anyway, Jameson, I have some horrible news.
Uh-oh. What's that?
I regret to inform you. It brings me absolutely no joy to tell you that the con, in fact, is on.
Yeah, the con is on us.
Yeah. The con is on.
Yeah.
I don't know what to... It's not... I just came in here and the con was already on.
Yeah.
I didn't turn the con on. But sometimes you gotta deal with it. Sometimes the con is on and...
Yeah, and sometimes the con is off.
But not this case.
This go around, the con was definitely on.
The con is indeed on from 2018. And we're discussing The Con Is On because we're going to talk about the career and filmography of Ms. Uma Thurman, a very cool lady that we both like. Jameson, this was another one that we grabbed from your list. What is it about Uma that you love?
Oh, I mean, I've always liked her in movies, but I wanted to cover her because I was just randomly, just sitting at one of my favorite bars, and on the TV they had the first Kill Bill movie on, and I was like, oh, awesome, this is sweet, and I love this part of the movie. And then this realization hit me, and I was like, fuck, whatever happened to Uma Thurman? It's been a while since I've seen her in something really meaningful.
That's a fantastic question, Jameson, and I've had the same thought. And going down her filmography, which I've listed out here, which we'll run through in a moment here, something very interesting happens to Uma Thurman.
Okay.
In, I would say, the early 2005s, right after she completes Kill Bill duology.
Right, because that, seemed like it was going to set her on, this massive trajectory, and she was getting some roles, but they were mostly from shitty, forgettable rom-coms and stuff, so... Yeah.
I'll basically, since we're already...
She hasn't rebounded from that, from what I've seen.
No, I would agree with that. I wouldn't say that she's rebounded quite yet. I mean, we're talking about it right now, so we'll just get into it. An interesting thing happens to Uma Thurman's filmography after the release of Kill Bill Volume 2. As I was going through her movies, I realized what that was. Following the release of Kill Bill, she's never in a good movie again.
Oh, is that
now,
it? I see.
That's a pretty objective statement because obviously I haven't seen all of these movies that we're about to mention, and there's a few outliers that I think probably fans of independent cinema or let's say shocking and boundary pushing cinema might have some arguments there.
They're bringing out their pitchforks and torches and such.
For me, certainly.
Okay,
yeah. But joke's on them because I put a moat in.
I see. Well,
that's all I want out of life. I just want to be moat rich.
A moat.
Some people want to be boat rich. I want to be moat rich.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
When you said a moat, I thought you meant show emotion.
Moat.
Like an actor would. Yeah.
That's not gonna turn an angry crowd away. If I just ask them nicely, I use my acting skills, that's not gonna work.
I acted my way into this, and I'll act my way out.
All right. So The Con is On.
Yeah.
It was directed. Now, here's what's
Yeah.
interesting. So, in the opening credits of The Con is On, the director is credited as James Haslam. But if you go online...
More like James has been.
Whoa!
All right,
We have to do that now. Every time you just like drop like an undeniable zinger, we have to at least go whoa for like at least
as long as we can.
At
as long
least
as we have
at least like a full second.
As long as there's air in our lungs.
We'll release like a supercut of like the best moments. If you go on Wikipedia, he's now credited as James Oakley.
Okay.
Which means that he has changed his name, and if I were the director of The Con is On, I might feel inclined to do the same thing. He has directed exactly one other movie that he filmed in 2005. It is called The Devil You Know, and it is reportedly something of a psychological thriller between a mother and daughter. The mother is a famous actress, and the daughter is an aspiring actress, and there's jealousy going on, and maybe they're both in love with the same guy, and it stars an up-and-coming Rosamund Pike, a few years after Die Another Day, which was her film debut, and also in this movie, playing a younger version of Rosamund Pike's character, is another up-and-coming young actress by the name of Jennifer Lawrence. This is actually Jennifer Lawrence's first movie role that this guy directed. And the reason I bring that up, the reason that's relevant, is because The Devil You Know was filmed in 2005. It was not released until 2013, a year after Jennifer Lawrence won the Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook.
I see.
So
some producer is looking at like that dusty shelf and say like, what do we have that has recent Oscar winners in it? And this'll do.
Exactly, and they redid the whatever DVD case they did, and they plopped J-Law right on the front.
Some big press release picture that looks nothing like her in the movie.
Absolutely, that's usually how it goes. It's usually just her headshot.
Yep.
This is despite the fact that according to a couple of letterboxd reviews I read for this movie, Jennifer Lawrence is in this movie for maybe 2 minutes and has 0 lines of dialogue.
Okay.
So shifty dealings with this guy, James Haslam.
So he has a
Oakley.
So he has a long history of conning audiences by the sound of it.
Well, he has a history of
changing his name, skipping town, running the same racket.
Didn't even think about that. He's writing what he knows in this.
Yeah, he's selling monorails to Oakville and North Haverbrook.
But he definitely has a history of releasing movies that take a while to get released, because The Con is On was filmed in 2015, but it was not released until 2018.
Okay.
Which is only a 3-year gap. Now, that is quite a long time for a movie to sit on the shelf. It's just that when compared to 8 years on the shelf, it feels like a drop in the bucket.
Right, yeah.
But I had to ask myself while I was like, who is this guy? He's only directed 2 movies, but he manages to get, like...
some pretty big names.
Big names! The Con is On, which we'll get into, has, like, a crazy supporting cast.
Including, like, a couple of actors who I always assumed were very picky about the work that they do.
Yeah, well, he had something on them, so I had to
blackmail him.
So yeah, I mean, like we're creating a mystique around this guy.
Honestly, gonna be more fascinating than the fucking movie.
But I did find out one bombshell of a detail about the director of this film, because I'm all like, how does he get these opportunities? How does he get like these big casts and everything?
Hypnosis.
And I looked on his Wikipedia. His parents own the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. A football franchise that was in the toilet for, I want to say, 2 decades.
Well,
they still have money left to put together a movie.
I don't know about that, but it's just
Okay.
it's I don't love the term nepo baby, but I'm sniffing a little bit around this here.
I can see this.
And the Cleveland Browns are owned by his biological mother and his stepfather, whose name is also James Haslam, Jimmy Haslam. Okay. So that means at some point in time, when he was like a boy or whatever, he changed his name to his last name to Haslam to take like his new stepfather's last name, and then time went on and he directed The Con is On, and I have to imagine James Haslam Sr. called James Haslam Jr. into his office and said like, "You dare defy the Haslam name?" And that's my theory as to why he changed his name shortly after directing this movie.
Just one of many of the behind the scenes shenanigans that have kept the Cleveland Browns in dead last.
I would buy this movie as like a tax write-off for a failing NFL franchise.
All I know is that just by bringing up the Cleveland Browns, it gives me a perfect excuse to include one of my favorite viral sports clips, which is just like this drunk Browns fan just like yelling at the stadium at night, and he goes,
"You are a factory of sadness!"
Well, you could roughly say the same thing about The Con is On from 2015. So, Uma Thurman, born in Boston, Massachusetts.
Wicked
Pally, other assorted, like them apples.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have I mentioned I'm tired?
If we're going to talk about like someone from Boston, we should have got my friend Drew on the show.
Well, I didn't even know that's where she was from until I looked on Wikipedia earlier today.
All right, tell me about this lady.
Well, her father is Robert Thurman, who's a professor of Tibetan? That makes more sense. Indo-Tibetan Buddhist studies, and an author who lived as an ordained Buddhist monk for 3 years.
Whoa.
And her mother is Nina von Schlebrug. I apologize. That's clearly not how you say that name. Who's a high fashion model. So she's the daughter of a Buddhist monk and a fashion model.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That tracks weirdly.
Just like a weird combination
why
of just like...
wouldn't she be the offspring of that combo?
That's what that soup makes. Yeah. And her family had a Buddhist upbringing. She has 4 siblings whose names are Taya, Gandin, Deccan Carl, and Nipam. So if anything, Uma lucked out in terms of like the names. She has maybe the most marketable name.
I wonder if those are all like traditional Tibetan names.
Oh, yeah, Mipam, definitely.
Yeah,
Mipam absolutely sounds. Of course, these are all white children as well, too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But hey, no, he was an ordained Tibetan monk, so,
he's got the bona fides.
He grandfathered himself in there, so there we go.
He beat the system.
Yes. So, following in both her mother and her grandmother's footsteps, she, of course, entered modeling when she was 15, and she was a model until 1986, until 1987, which was her film debut. Her first movie is a psychological thriller with the very unfortunate title of Kiss Daddy Goodnight. Kiss Daddy Goodnight, Jameson.
No. And don't say it like that either.
What? Say like Kiss Daddy?
Moving on.
This is about a young woman who picks up men at bars, drugs them, and then robs them.
Okay.
That also stars a young Steve Buscemi. I'm not going to make any aspersions, but I have to believe he's probably one of the dudes picking up young Uma. Because that tracks. 1988, she's in 3 movies. She's in the teen high school football comedy Johnny Be Good, with Anthony Michael Hall and Robert Downey Jr. She's in the Terry Gilliam classic The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, where she plays Venus, her of the clamshell. And
the goddess Venus.
And the nudity. Yeah.
All right.
Getting those clams out. And she's also in the critical and commercial hit Dangerous Liaisons, where I believe she's a young, innocent maid who is betwixt and befuddled by John Malkovich's evil Count de Valmont. I know a little bit about this story. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah. She falls prey to the mind cage.
Uma likes to...
Check out her old mind cage episode.
She's in there. She's one of the personalities.
That's right.
John Malkovich is just all like, I have to draw you. And then Martin Lawrence busts in.
No!
It's like, no, don't do it. One thing that we'll find out going down this filmography, Uma loves her a period piece. She loves to dress in fancy costumes, which is funny because I'm sure we associate her from like Kill Bill and like sort of like Tarantino stuff. She loves pretty dresses. She loves a ball. She loves a formal ball.
Yeah.
She's into it. This is also around the time, and I knew this, but I had forgotten about it until earlier today. This is around the time of her first marriage, where she marries Gary Oldman.
Yeah. I remember that they were together.
They were together for a brief period of time. They were together for 2 years. 1990, she is in the family dramedy Where the Heart Is. And she also plays the titular June in Henry and June,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of those classic rented on VHS because this movie, there's a lot of fucking in it. This is one of like those artistic movies.
Sure,
it's
yeah.
based on some classic literature about it's Fred Ward and Uma Thurman, and they're going around and they're
Fucking like rabbits.
They're fucking like rabbits. That's
Okay.
all I really know. I know it's a spicy movie.
Okay.
I recognize the title. 1991, she plays Maid Marian in a film adaptation of Robin Hood. Now, this is a mostly forgotten version of Robin Hood that came out the same year
Oh, really?
as Prince of Thieves.
Wow.
So they're doing the Armageddon Deep Impact thing.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, obviously, one of them succeeded, and the other one kind of stars no one you've heard of except Uma Thurman as Maid Marian, and it was just like a bald-faced, earnest take on Robin Hood.
Yeah,
is all
without
I know.
a Bryan Adams soundtrack.
Without a hit #1 single. Nope. Everything they did,
There was missing that crucial special ingredient.
They did it for themselves.
Yeah, had they approached Bryan Adams first, I'm sure we'd be talking about that one and not
Had they cast an actor who couldn't do a conceivable British accent to save their life, they might have been the hot property at the... No, there was no way.
How disappointing is that you do like a really serious, earnest take on Robin Hood, and then like the more trashy version
Kevin
I want to
Costner
say
comes out.
Yeah,
There
the
was-
less classy, authentic one.
There was no way that movie wasn't gonna, because that was like Kevin Costner at like his absolute.
Yeah.
This was right after Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
and it's the same year he does JFK. So he's like he's
Red hot,
He's
yeah.
He's making more money than anyone probably in Hollywood at that current time. 1992, she does a couple of thrillers. She's in the legal thriller Final Analysis with Richard Gere and Kim Basinger. And she's in the psychological thriller Jennifer 8 with Andy Garcia, where she plays a blind witness to a murder. 1993, she is in the film Mad Dog and Glory, which is a Robert De Niro, Bill Murray gangster comedy, where Robert De Niro plays a retired detective named Mad Dog, who inadvertently saves the life of a gangster played by Bill Murray. And as thanks, he gifts a young bartender named Glory, played by Uma Thurman. So maybe some gross stuff going on in that movie. Who's to say? I remember that was the talk about that was like an early performance where it's all like it's a gangster movie with Robert De Niro and Bill Murray, and he's not the gangster. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Was it like one of those like, oh, there's chatter of Bill Murray actually trying to be a serious actor?
Maybe like early
Okay.
early stuff at this point.
All
Yeah.
right.
Lost to Time. Who can say?
Sure.
Also Lost to Time, 1993's Gus Van Sant's Tom Robbins adaptation, Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. One of those fantastic movie titles based on a very weird book. She plays a hitchhiker with a giant thumb. That's all I know about it. It has like a crazy eclectic supporting cast. Keanu Reeves, John Hurt, Roseanne, Pat Morita, Crispin Glover.
Oh, wow.
Like 10 other people. Like, a famous flop. Famous bomb. With a title like that, who could have guessed?
Or who could say no?
Who could
really?
say no to
Should be the
that?
better question.
But 1994, big swerve, of course, for Uma. Naturally, it is the year of Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction!
Yeah.
A movie so exciting, I nearly threw up when I said it. No, I was just
You all right?
That was just a burp. I'm
Okay,
fine.
all right.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction, which, much like Samuel L. Jackson, earned her one and to date only Oscar nomination.
Yeah. I mean, she's on the post. She's the only one on that
The
fucking
only
poster.
one on the poster. Yeah,
like,
absolutely. And she just comes in. She just has like that one little
vignette and-
window
yeah.
and everything. And what another trend we'll see as we go through this list is people keep putting Uma. They keep trying to do Pulp Fiction reunions. They keep partnering her up with other people from Pulp Fiction. Be all like, remember them? But then you think about Pulp Fiction. She's really only in that movie with John Travolta. She doesn't really share scenes with anyone else.
Yeah.
Other than Eric Stoltz and Rosanna Arquette, but she's passed out during that point. So,
right, yeah. And yet, like, she's such a critical and memorable part of that movie. Well, especially, like, in her scenes, obviously, because there's a lot of memorable shit about that movie. But her and that character of Mia Wallace, like, they just lend to the mystique of Pulp Fiction, and you can't really imagine the movie without her. Yeah, she's great in that, and that's a great character.
It's a great supporting performance because she comes in like midway through the movie. She kind of like has the movie in the palm of her hand for like 20 minutes, and then she's gone, and she doesn't come back, and and you miss her.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, and you hope she pulls through from that overdose.
Yeah. She's gonna have a rough day. She needed to get I hope Vincent picked her up some Pedialyte on the way home, because she's gonna need an entire case of it.
I'll just say this, I always appreciate whenever I see a lady dressed as Mia Wallace for Halloween, because it's one of those like simple costumes to pull off, but
it's basically just a wig.
Just a wig and like a dress shirt and black pants, and if they go full blow, they're gonna have, you know, fake blood coming out of their nose and like a syringe coming out of their
sticking out of their chest. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Kate did that, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Past guest friend of the podcast, Kate Sith. 1995, following her Oscar nomination, she gets back to doing fancy dancy stuff. She's in a movie called A Month at the Lake. It's about Vanessa Redgrave goes to the lake, the country, and she has a month there. I don't know.
My stars.
I started writing down the plot for this, and then I'm all like, it's called A Month at the Lake. I don't give a shit. I don't really care.
You say, and then vampires show up.
And
you
never know.
Are you gonna watch it? No, then fuck you. That's what happens.
1996, she's in a couple of romantic comedies. She's in the ensemble comedy Beautiful Girls, which I've heard is quite good. She's also in The Truth About Cats and Dogs with Janine Garofalo and Jamie Foxx, which is a movie I've never seen, but has always existed as a title in my mind. Because, between that and even Cowgirls Get the Blues, and, of course, Kiss Me Goodnight, Daddy. That's not even...
She knows how to pick them.
Yeah. 1997. So 1997, she has a tremendous high and then a tremendous low. She is in the excellent sci-fi film Gattaca.
Yeah.
Where she's excellent. And she also meets her second husband, Ethan Hawke, on the set of that movie.
Yep. They have still together, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Moving on.
Not to so much. No.
Okay.
So that movie does very well. So that's her high, and I would say her low is later on that year, where of course she is Poison Ivy in Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
A performance that plays a little bit better. Like she's obviously going full camp. She's obviously trying to capture the tone of like the 60s Adam West Batman show, and she's like committed. Like it doesn't work, but also like she's playing the material that's given to her. Like she's not half-assing that performance.
No, like neither is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like the villains of those Joel Schumacher movies are like clearly having like more fun hamming it up than everybody else. You know, just thinking about her as Poison Ivy, it would have been so easy for them to just cast a supermodel as Poison Ivy and have her just be sultry for the whole movie. But I think it was a good call to actually have, you know, a good actress who could do the sort of mousy, nerdy scientist before the transformation.
Yeah, I think
she can play like the dual role quite well.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's kind of missing from modern superhero movies. You know, someone who can do like two different personalities for the same character. You know, the secret identity.
Oh, you mean like Jim Carrey in The Riddler and Jamie Foxx in Electro and like all the other times they've done that for comic book supervillain
all right,
movies?
fine.
Sorry. I don't know. I just remember, I look back on that movie and I'm like, why did they make Poison Ivy's whole deal is that she's supposed to be seductive. She's supposed to like
alluring, but
lure men to their deaths with her poison, and like she has some bad looks in that movie. Like they give her just like some really terrible wigs in that movie that just aren't flattering at all. I don't know. Batman and Robin, not a great movie.
Not a great movie.
Shocking. Color me shocked.
Doesn't hold up.
1998. She is in two movies that both need addendums.
Oh.
She is in Les Miserables, but not the musical version. This is just an adaptation of the Victor Hugo book.
Okay.
And it's, you know, like another stately period piece. And she plays Fatine, and this is a version that has Liam Neeson, Jeffrey Rush, and Claire Danes.
All right.
And it's not a version that anyone remembers with any fondness. And she's also in The Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
But not the Marvel one. See, it's like she's in two movies that are kind of confusing if you just write down the title.
I saw that Avengers movie in the theater.
I did too, because if it was a blockbuster, I was seeing it in the late 90s.
Yeah, we were just crazy about those adaptations of 60s shows back then.
Yep. And even then, even when I was like a young boy,
this is stupid.
enjoying the experience of going to film, even then I knew that movie did not fucking work.
Yeah.
At all. Yes, but of course she plays...
But Sean Connery could control the weather. I remember that line.
Storm is coming. I'm trying to remember the trailer line from him from that movie. I don't know. He definitely did like a gentleman, welcome to the end of the world. No, I don't know. I'm combining like three. I've been entrapped by Catherine Zeta-Jones. No, that's the other one. Anyway. 1999, she's in a Woody Allen movie called Sweet and Lowdown. 2000, she's in 2 stately period pieces. I told you there's going to be a lot of them.
Oh, boy.
She's in the Henry James adaptation, The Golden Bowl. This is like another ensemble thing. Nick Nolte is walking around probably in a cravat or an ascot, perhaps. I don't know. And then she's also in the film Vatel. Which is like a French movie with non-French actors.
Oh, great.
Well, some non-French actors, because it's a romance between her and... It's always fun when you start off a sentence with, it's a romance between this person, and then you finish up that with, and Gerard Depardieu. Because everyone wants to suck face with that guy. I'm sure he doesn't smell like eight-week-old Merlot or anything. But notedly, the other star of this movie, Vatel, Mr. Tim Roth. So they have, in fact, been in this movie. And, of course, it is also one of those wraparound Pulp Fiction reunions, even though they are not in any scenes together in Pulp Fiction. Yeah. But this is technically the third movie that they've been in. 2001, she's in 2 movies involving her husband, Ethan Hawke. She's in the Richard Linklater-directed film Tape, which is based on a play. It's like a 3-person story between her, Ethan Hawke, and Robert Sean Leonard, and it's just 3 people who meet at a motel, and it's just a talky movie because it's based on a play where people get together in one room and talk about their lives and talk about, oh, you did something to me and I don't like it. I think someone tapes a conversation. I believe that's
hence the name.
Hence the name.
Okay.
She also appears in Ethan Hawke's directorial debut, Chelsea Walls, which is about the Chelsea Hotel and all of the artistic people that hang out there and everything like that. 2002, she's in the TV movie Hysterical Blindness, where she won a Golden Globe for Best Actress. 2003, she is in the forgotten John Woo sci-fi film Paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
With Ben Affleck and Aaron Eckhart.
I saw that out in theaters, too. I remember at the time thinking it was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
haven't gone and revisited it. Also, I was a dumb kid back then, so I don't know.
I never checked it out, but I do like John Woo, but that's kind of like his most forgotten
That's
movie.
one of those movies where there's all these enigmatic clues that pay off later. Yeah.
Does someone hand Ben Affleck a paycheck in the movie?
He certainly earned his paycheck being in that movie.
That's one of those movies that's just kind of all like, why were you in that?
Why did you do that? And he just taps at the poster.
Taps to the sign, exactly.
Yeah.
But also in 2003, and this is the reason why we're here. This is why we're here to talk about this. Kill Bill Volume 1, 2004. Kill Bill Volume 2. A movie, at least one of these movies... She should have 2 Oscar nominations, because she should have been nominated for one of the Kill Bills.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe she was hurt by the fact that they kind of split the movie into 2. Like, that's one theory, maybe. Like, they didn't know. Like, people who might have been voting for her weren't sure if they should vote for her for Volume 1 or if they should wait for next year, because maybe she gives an even better performance. And then when Part 2 rolled around, they're all like...
It's a little more subdued compared to the very stylized first one.
Yeah, because the first one is very action heavy.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, I love Part 2.
I love both those movies.
But that's where most of the dialogue is.
Yeah, and the big argument was that, the first one is all Eastern film inspired, and the second one is all Western influenced. And it's just not as eye-catching, I believe, as the other one, but that's where most of the character work is. And she's great as the bride and iconic role. Surprised that she hasn't really maintained that trajectory from those movies.
Yeah. It's also really strange given how popular Pulp Fiction was with the Oscars, that neither of those movies got nominated for anything.
Yeah.
Like, that could have totally been a David Carradine nomination.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been like a set or a costume design production. 'Cause
Absolutely,
they're
yeah.
stunning looking movies.
Cinematography was great.
I was about to say score, but it's mostly like music from like other materials,
Right,
or
yeah.
like him borrowing stuff. But yeah, man, those are two movies where like Uma is the star. She's in not every scene, but like practically every scene. She's like the propulsive drive of the movie. She does so much. She does like all of her own stunts. Famously, of course, she has a neck and back injury that she still has to this day due to a very dangerous driving stunt that led to somewhat of a falling out between her and Quentin Tarantino,
Yeah.
and a much bigger falling out between her and Miramax, but she needed to get away from them anyway.
Yeah. I've always wondered why those two never collaborated again. But I guess that answers my question.
It has been said that in time she has learned to forgive Tarantino for pushing her and putting her in like a dangerous situation that led to an injury and most certainly could have led to her death. And she has said that she's willing to work with him again.
He's got one last movie in
He's got one movie in the chamber. One movie
one
to go.
left, and
Yeah.
I mean, I call bullshit on that, but
We'll see.
Yeah, but
We'll see what happens.
bring her back for that. Like, get the whole gang back
Get
together
everyone
for this last
back
one.
together.
Yeah.
Oh, who did I hear? I think the rumor is that Travolta is going to be in the new one.
Sure.
So if he's going to be in, you gotta throw Uma a bone.
Absolutely.
You gotta get one from every movie. Tarantino's what you do. Get one.
We'll
of
get
the
Sam Jackson, and then that's
Get
pretty much covered.
one of the Reservoir Dogs. Get someone from Jackie Brown. Okay, as I said earlier, after Kill Bill, this is where everything starts going immediately downhill for Uma, and that is none more evident than the very next year, 2005, 3 absolute fiascos. She is in the sequel to Get Shorty.
Yeah.
Be Cool. Her and like the big marketing selling point of that movie.
Travolta and Thurman back together.
Travolta and Thurman, look, they're dancing in the trailer, and there was just none of that energy.
Yeah.
There wasn't even the energy of Get Shorty. It was just like, what are we doing here? It's like them and like another enormous supporting cast of people, and no one has any idea what they're doing in that movie.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a shot where The Rock punches out Vince Vaughn. So if you're into that, the movie's got you covered.
There's a shot where The Rock does a monologue from the film Bring It On. And instead of it being a monologue, it's just dialogue between 3 different characters. And then John Travolta has to explain what a monologue is. Also in 2005, if we ever cover Meryl Streep on this movie, we might have to, on this podcast, we might have to cover this movie because she's in the forgettable romantic comedy Prime, in which she is dating the son of her psychiatrist.
Okay.
Played by Meryl Streep. This is a movie that everyone has completely forgotten about. And capping off 2005, she is in the disastrous screen adaptation of The Producers.
Oh, yeah.
Which is just goes to show you can't just hire the director of the Broadway show to direct a movie. It is a completely different medium. You need someone who understands how film works, because if you watch that movie, it is so stilted and so awkward.
It's made to look like it's on a stage.
Yes!
Which
is not the point!
It's like a nifty idea for a musical adaptation, but then when you see the execution of it, it's like, oh yeah, that's why no one does this.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, like, you're bringing back the 2 stars from the stage adaptation, and then they decide to cast some A-listers in some of the supporting roles, like people who can't even sing. And I'm like, why did you do this? Why did you cast Will Ferrell and Uma Thurman?
I actually think Uma's pretty good.
She is good at it.
She's okay.
Yeah.
She's not too bad.
That's
she's all right.
That's just a fun character.
Yeah. Will Ferrell is terrible. And I like Will Ferrell, but he's not good in that movie. Yeah. 2006, she's in the Ivan Reitman film My Super Ex-Girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Fucking thing?
Well, I remember the trailers for it, and I was like, hell no.
Poster, she's holding up a car. Luke Wilson's like, what? What's going on here?
Yeah.
2007, she's in the drama The Life Before Her Eyes, which I believe is a secret school shooting movie. No fun.
Okay.
2008, she's in The Accidental Husband, which we almost did an episode on.
Yeah, and I looked at that trailer, and I was like, hell no.
Much better to watch The Con Is On. Yes.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
We
with this
certainly
movie.
do. My word.
I have a feeling Accidental Husband would just been us poking fun at the genre of rom-coms and like saying everything that's been said a million times over about them. Hey, look at that cliche. Hey, look at that cliche.
That could have been fun.
Yeah,
Could have been fun. I don't know.
in hindsight,
Certainly,
yeah.
when I was watching The Con is On, I was thinking about the alternate timeline where we had chosen the other movie. 2009, she's in a film called Motherhood, which seems to be about
Motherhood.
2010, she's Medusa in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Oh yeah.
Briefly. She's in a little independent movie in 2010 that I think has gotten some really good reviews. So, like, this may be like the outlier of what I said earlier. She's in a little independent film called Ceremony, where she plays a woman who is getting married to Lee Pace, and then his best friend is played by Michael Angarano, who's in love with her. So it's like a little love triangle movie. It had good reviews. It may be like the one quietly good Uma Thurman performance in all of this,
In the last 10 years.
in all of this dreck. 2012, she's in a fancy dress again in Belle Amie, which is a Robert Pattinson bodice ripper with her and Christina Ricci. She's also in the Gerard Butler comedy Playing for Keeps, where he's a soccer coach who I guess romances all of the soccer moms. And the highly overqualified cast for that is Jessica Biel, Uma Thurman, and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Wow.
How did these people all get in this movie? Oof. 2013. I just noticed.
That's a good sign.
2013. She's in the legendarily bad movie 43
Oh yeah. But half of Hollywood was in that.
in a segment called Superhero Speed Dating.
Okay.
I'm sure that's hilarious. Also in 2013, she's in another two-parter movie, although both parts were released in the same year. She's in Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac, which I have not seen. Some people like Lars von Trier. He's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
He's the German enfant terrible who went to Cannes and said, Hitler has some good points, and was then subsequently never invited back to Cannes ever again. He's banned for life for saying that. Yeah, and that's about a woman who can't stop having sex. And it's not Uma, she's just in the cast.
Gotcha.
2015, she's in the miniseries The Slap,
Okay.
which is about a guy who slaps someone else's kid and the fallout of that.
Okay.
She's also in the film Burnt, which is Bradley Cooper is a celebrity chef and he wants to open a restaurant. And boy, don't you want to watch an entire movie about this fucking guy.
Not really.
Then she takes a little bit of a break. She's back with The Con is On in 2018. She's back with Lars
What a
von
comeback.
She's back with Lars von Trier in The House That Jack Built, which is just a movie where Matt Dillon goes around and murders women in horrible ways, and she is one of them.
That's a misleading title.
He's building the house out of corpses.
Okay.
Out of lady bones.
I see.
Then he has a dark hall within the house, and then when you go down the dark hall, you get to her next movie, which is called Down a Dark Hall. Which is a horror
Wow.
movie.
What a segue.
And then she's in like a couple of like TV shows that apparently came out and were released, and I have never heard of before.
I know I've seen one of them.
Is one of them Chambers?
Nope.
Is the other one Suspicion?
Nope.
Is the other one Super Pumped: The Battle for Uber, where she
No.
plays Ariana Huffington?
No.
What show are you talking about?
Imposters.
Imposters.
Did you know? Oh, okay.
What is Imposters? I must have missed that
Okay,
entirely.
well, all right, so it's like this. It was only for 2 seasons, and she's only in like 3 episodes of it in the first season. And she shows up midway through it. And the premise of that is a guy is getting married, but then his fiance jilts him on the wedding day, and he's heartbroken. And then he finds out that she's actually a con artist who has people fall in love with her, and then she runs out with like the dowry money or whatever the fuck. And it's him teaming up with like the former flings and boyfriends and girlfriends to track her down. And Uma Thurman actually plays a hit woman who's going after the woman con artist. Yeah, I believe that's what it is.
She plays a character named Lenny Cohen.
Yeah, and
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and-
I went right past that one.
yeah, and well, the only reason I know that is because a friend of mine, she went to Vancouver Film School and I guess had an instructor who worked on the movie as like a DP or whatever, and he encouraged all his students to watch it, and she encouraged me to watch it, and because like it's a Vancouver-based thing, you can point out landmarks, but I'm just watching this thing and I'm like, this is okay, and then goddamn Uma Thurman shows up halfway through the series, and it's like, Oh, so this must be like the big star that they get for the TV show, and then she's gone in like a handful of episodes.
This based on what period this came out in her filmography, she must have really been in the weeds.
Yeah.
This is just kind of like Uma stumbling around in the dark, just looking for something, looking for some sort of handout. Why won't someone give this woman a role? And then someone gave her a role, and unfortunately,
It was imposters.
it was The War with Grandpa.
Oh yeah.
From 2020, a movie released in the height of COVID, because they're all like, well, we got to release this sometime. Hey, how about right now?
How about right now? People are stuck at home.
And then
what are you gonna do? Not watch this?
And then it was like the #1 movie for like 4 months in a row, because there was like no other competition for it. It was like, what's #1 at the box office? War with Grandpa. What's #2 at the box office? That movie where Russell Crowe gets road rage, and then like Beetlejuice and like films from like a decade ago.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Okay, so she's had, I wouldn't say like a comeback, but like she had like a little bump this year because she was in one movie that like people saw and definitely discussed that came out this year, and that's the Amazon original film Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Oh yeah, I saw a trailer for that the other day.
Where she plays the goddamn president of the United States. God damn it.
Okay, why do you say it like that?
I don't know, because it's just like, I don't know. Do you ever think Uma Thurman would play the president of the United States?
No.
And, here we go. And it's like...
There's a lot of people who I never assumed would be the president of the United States.
Well, you should never make assumptions. Apparently, she has a wackadoo southern accent in that movie, which kind of makes me want to see it. And yeah, it's a romantic comedy where the son of the president falls in love with the son of the King of England. And it's a weird little Con-is-on reunion because the King of England is played by Stephen Fry.
Oh,
so yeah, they love working together. And then also, just a couple of weeks ago, she was in a movie that was just released called The Kill Room, which is she plays a gallery owner who signs on a new mysterious artist, and then it turns out he's a serial killer.
Oh,
and it's her and Samuel L. Jackson, because they can't stop reuniting Pulp Fiction stars, Jameson. They can't do it. And then coming up, her next movie that's coming out is she's in a sequel to The Old Guard. Did you see The Old Guard?
Nope.
It was on Netflix. It's a Charlize Theron action movie. They're immortals. It's pretty good.
Okay.
In terms of like kind of like the content that Netflix puts out there.
Their original movies?
That one is all right.
Okay.
So I think she's in the sequel. Maybe she's the villain. I don't know. Okay. But hey, Uma is back in an action movie.
Good for her.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Time will tell what that actually leads up to, but we'll see. She's in movies. She's back in movies.
All right, she's back, baby.
And people are seeing them.
She's got herself a new agent, and she's picking some prime roles for herself.
She walked into the agency, and she said, guess what? The con is on, bitch! All right, so that's that. And we ready?
Yeah,
we ready?
Born ready.
We ready for this con?
Sure, yeah.
I'm ready for this con to be over.
Get it to be over, yeah.
That's just all right. All right, listen to this charity spot, and when we come back,
we're going to talk about Uma Thurman. And
the con will still be on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Maybe it'll be off. You don't know.
Yeah, you got one more con is on mention in you?
I don't have one more.
Oh, you got.
I have several.
Oh, lovely.
I'm gonna make this the new Grabbers. It's just in terms of like a title.
You can't force a Grabbers.
Well,
all right.
You can't force a Grabbers is something that you don't want to say to some. No, that's something you want to say.
All
to
right, so we'll see.
When he's going out to the bar and he's not behaving himself. Listen, you can't force a Grabbers. The holidays are right around the corner. But for a lot of young people currently in the foster care system, that doesn't always mean as much as they'd like. One Simple Wish aims to provide love and care to thousands of children impacted by neglect or abuse in the foster care system. You can grant a child's dream wish by browsing the wishes on the website. The wishes provide information on the child and their interests, as well as the price of the specific wish. You can also contribute to a larger wish, like car payments or furniture items for older kids. Additionally, you have the option to contribute monetarily monthly. And this season, One Simple Wish is offering to match certain wishes. To donate, visit the link in our show notes, or visit onesimplewish.org.
All right, we're back. We're back. Let's con these suckers.
Let's get this on. Let's get it on like Donkey Kong And I don't mean with a K, I mean C-O-N. The Donkey.
Imagine
The Donkey Con. What? That should be the next Mario movie, is like they do like a heist. They call it the Donkey Con. You're welcome, Universal.
I was just wondering if like maybe there should be a Donkey Con. Like where you actually go and like meet other donkey enthusiasts at like...
a Donkey Con. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a fun idea.
Just go to like it's like outside the Cloverdale Rodeo and you just hang out with...
Donkey Con, yeah, and then there's just like a bunch of like Nintendo fans like hanging outside. It's all like, we went to the wrong place.
And there's like these panels with all these like old salt of the earth farmers and shit.
Yeah, and then you get like the Venn diagram of them with like the one person who's like into both.
Yeah,
it's all like my kind of town. All right, well, the con is on now. Arguably, based on the events that happen in this movie, the con is barely on.
Yeah.
Like, the con is arguably is not on until, like, over an hour into the movie. Like, the con is technically on when she starts pretending to be the dog whisperer.
Yeah.
And I checked my watch, I'm all like, fuck, it's been going on for a while, and the con is just on?
Yeah, and it seems to only happen when the marks usher the availability of this to happen to them.
It's a complete...
You know, like, nothing is set up where they're waltzing into a trap.
They didn't plan anything.
No, they
made no plans.
The con artists just kind of stumble into, the opportunities that they find themselves
Let's not use the word artists. They're con enthusiasts.
Sure.
They make, like, if they're artists, they make, like, AI art. They hit, like, a couple of buttons. Even that's giving them too much credit. Mm-hmm. The 2 stars of this movie. It's pretty amazing to release a film without a single redeemable or likable character in it. But god damn it, this movie did it. This movie managed to pull it off.
You didn't like anyone in this movie?
Arguably, the most sympathetic character in this movie is Tim Roth. And he's a huge piece of shit.
He is. You want to root for him, but then you realize how much of an asshole he is to everybody else.
I liked like the energy some of these performers were giving.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't like any of these characters. They're all asshole. They're all the worst.
They are insane, and none of them are truly likable. But like just how they are played and portrayed, I'm gonna say saves the movie. It's a terrible fucking movie, but what I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut up random bits of this movie and make like a 10-minute or whatever compilation of out of context the con is on clips.
Out of context?
Yeah, just like random clips like interspersed and like out of order and stuff. It's going to look insane. It's going to be fucking hilarious.
The con is on, but the context is off.
All right.
So
you're just one ear out the other. Gotcha.
It's going to be every 2 minutes. No, I heard you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, out of context.
But you disagree, or
no? It's a worthy goal.
Okay.
And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And it's definitely going to provide some fruitful results for you.
just knock yourself out, Jameson.
Watch, like 3 years from now, the recut version of the con is on, wins you the fucking genie.
Thank you.
You'll win an award.
I'll get an award. Yeah,
you'll get
Best
an award
editing.
at the award awards.
At the award
Oh
show.
my god! Fuck. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping way ahead, but like, I had to pause the movie and laugh for a good 3 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that go by and I was like, did I see that right? And I checked. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 75th Awards. Oh, man.
Jesus fucking Christ.
All right,
so the movie begins. How does it? It begins.
It jumps around a shit ton in the opening.
It begins the way all good movies begin, with a swearing nun who does cocaine.
Yeah.
That's how you know this is a cool movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Uma Thurman is posing as someone to accept a cash handoff for drugs. Big drug deal.
I really couldn't. I watched this entire movie. I really couldn't say who she is or what she's doing in this opening scene.
Well, she's posing as the bag person for Arena, the Russian crime boss played by Maggie Q.
So it was always her plan to steal the money, or was she just? I thought she was already working for Maggie Q, the gangster, and then on the way to deliver the bag of money, she got caught up in a poker game, and then her husband also spent a lot of the money on cocaine as well. But but you think she was never planning on giving the money to Maggie
No,
Q?
I think they knew that someone was going to hand off this drug money to Irina.
Yeah.
And she intercepted that. She went to meet up with Tim Roth, her con artist, her con enthusiast husband, who never doesn't have a drink in his hand in this fucking movie. He is he's a savage alcoholic. This guy.
For maybe like the first 15 or 20 minutes of this movie, I was kind of enjoying sort of like the energy of what they were giving me here, especially what Uma and Tim are giving me in this. Yes, they are always drinking. Tim Roth always looks pissed off or whatever.
Yeah.
Tim Roth cannot enter a room in this movie without fixing himself a drink or grabbing a bottle of booze and swigging it.
Or taking someone else's drink, or like the martini shaker out of a bartender's hands.
I mean, it's funny. That's objectively funny. Tim Roth walking into a room, going up to the bar, not talking to the bartender, grabbing the metal martini shaker, pouring most of it into a glass, and then taking both of them and walking away.
Yeah.
Yes, it's funny. The 20th time it happens, it's maybe not funny anymore. By the 20th time he fucking did it, I just wanted to bang my head against the wall, because it's all like you are making drinking less cool. By doing this.
Yeah, now it's starting to get sad.
Now it's just you needed to pick your moments when you're doing this.
And whenever he's not doing that, he's just telling people to fuck off or just be an obnoxious asshole. Every time someone tries to explain who they are or like the situation, he just says something like, "I don't fucking care." So I'm right there with you, Timmy.
So since we're talking about this anyway, I got halfway through writing my notes, and then I paused the movie for a brief period so I could write down the only way to watch this movie, which is the Con is on drinking game.
Oh, yes.
So I just wrote down like some quick rules, and I think these are good, and this definitely isn't going to lead to liver failure at all. First of all, you need to take a drink every time someone in the movie takes a drink. You need to take a drink every time someone walks into a room and says, "I need a drink." Take a drink every time someone asks Maggie Q a simple question and then she shoots them in the head as a response. Take a drink every time the film is racist or homophobic. Take a drink every time a scene starts or a new character is introduced by saying some variation of the word fuck.
Yeah.
And then finally, finish your drink anytime someone gives a more insane performance than Crispin Glover. Now, at first, you might think that that's tricky. You would be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
He actually like largely gets outacted in this movie, which is quite surprising. But we'll get there. So yes,
overacted, yeah.
So Uma Thurman is playing Harry.
Yeah, as in like Harriet. Right?
As in Harriet.
Yeah.
Harriet Fox. And her husband's Peter Fox. And they're just like a couple of no good scumbums who have stolen a bag of money from a gangster played by Maggie Q.
Yep.
And as soon as they get the money, Uma sees a card table and she goes over and is like, maybe I'll just bet a little. Maybe I'll just bet a little bit more. Yep. We keep coming back to the bag. It keeps getting less and less.
I think the implication is that she has a gambling problem, but she's not good at it.
That's the joke. That's the joke that the movie is trying to set out. She loves gambling and she's not good at it.
And yet she's like cool as a cucumber and like just like fits in that world, that shady world so well. And then she sees Irina come into the room and she's like, oh shit, we better bolt.
Because they're bad criminals. It's so funny the amount. You know what? I've just created a new rule. Take a drink every time Maggie Q misses seeing Uma Thurman, despite the fact that she's standing right next to her.
Yeah.
It happens a lot in this movie. And then Tim Roth is in the corner and he's got like a cocaine. He's like buying like little baggies of cocaine.
And he's spending all the money.
He's making all of these drinks. The first shot of him like making the drink is really funny.
And he's like pouring it all over the bar.
He's pouring it all over the bar. And then like we see him like just like it's clearly just Tim Roth just doing like some make a drink improv or whatever. At one point in time he throws an entire stalk of celery into something.
Yeah.
Looks like he throws it on the floor and then it cuts back and he's drinking a martini. He didn't need that celery.
Yeah. So they get away from Marina and they hop a plane over to LA in an attempt to just like get away to lay low, but Irina just has eyes all over the world. She has like a network of spies, so they can't hide out for long. So they decide, well, once we get to LA, we'll meet up with our old criminal friend who's going to give us a job, Sydney, played by Stephen Fry, who's a despicable character. He's
as evidenced by the fact that he's disguised himself as a priest, or maybe he became ordained. Or
well, here's my theory. So at the opening, there's like the nun handing off the money for the
oh,
drugs.
so they're all in
the network of
the network
like
is
Catholics.
like religions,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It would have been funny if the movie had leaned into that, or maybe
Yeah.
like explained that a little bit more. But we see him coming out in his priest robes, and there's some homeless men on the steps outside, and he just turns the hose on them without saying a word.
He blesses someone on the forehead, and then he wipes his hand like, oh, what a dirty person! Like I just
So-
blessed. And he has an uncomfortably close sexual attraction to Tim Roth, to the point where I got the impression that when Tim Roth was a boy, you know.
Well, okay. Tim Roth calls him a pederast, which is not the same thing as a pedophile. Tim Roth's character is pretty violently homophobic. Like Stephen Fry leans in to say something to him at one point in time, and he recoils with just the fact that a gay person is talking to me. My word.
I'm pretty sure that he would have molested him. Doesn't
they make some jokes about him molesting him or
doesn't
whatnot.
to get he says, okay, well, I'll find you some work, but I think in exchange for that, Uma Thurman pimps out her husband to Stephen Fry.
She's not a nice she's not a nice person or a nice partner.
No, they mentioned at one point that there was a job in Istanbul, back when they were working with Arena, and he gets set up to go spend 3 months in a jail in Istanbul, and it's he is taken advantage of by his wife, who's selling him up the river, pimping him out to this priest. And at this point I'm thinking poor fucking Tim Roth, he ought to be a sympathetic guy, and yet he's rude to pretty much everybody.
Well, but everyone's kind of here's the other thing we forgot to mention about Peter. So here's the bullet points of what this character's all about. He's constantly drinking. He's always doing drugs. He's sweaty and unshaven. Every second word out of his mouth is a swear word.
Yeah.
And inexplicably, all women want to sleep with him.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they
He's that bad boy.
Despite the fact that he is a sweaty, unshaven Tim Roth. And hey, look, Tim Roth has got kind of
he's got a charm to him.
He's got a rugged sort of scumbag energy to him that is pretty.
He's
pretty
a snappy dresser.
fairly attractive.
He's always wearing that nice suit.
But when they're on the plane, they're in first class. Uma Thurman's taking a nap, and this spray tanned woman in the seat next to him leans over her husband and basically propositions Tim Roth right there. And of course his response is anything. It's just fuck off.
Yeah.
It's all this happens to me everywhere I go. People
Yeah.
can't stop throwing themselves at me. And if he's interested in having sex with anybody, he certainly doesn't show it in this movie. That seems like a hurdle that gets in the way from his next cocktail.
I guess the implication there is that he and Uma Thurman are just madly in love and dedicated to each other, despite the fact that she's kind of a horrible person. And she takes advantage of him all the fucking time.
Yeah, they don't really have any chemistry together.
No.
They don't even seem to particularly like each other all that much.
And yet they're hopelessly dedicated and intertwined together.
And look, there's some humor in that,
Sure,
but
yeah.
not the way that this movie plays it.
Right. So, Stephen Fry essentially says, I can get you some work, or I can get
I can get you some work smuggling opium
yeah.
for me.
Right.
And guess where that's going? Right up Tim Roth's bum. And so Tim Roth is because they've come to LA. We should also say, we've been reviewing, a string of movies where the plot has been...
I know where you're going to say. It's
an
American goes to England and gets caught up in a
This
crime
one
caper.
flips the script.
Yeah, it's a bunch of Brits in the U.S.
The point in fact, in the UK, this movie is actually called The Brits Are Coming. It doesn't quite have the same ring as The Con is On, baby.
Okay.
So they're there because they need to get the money back to Maggie Q because they stole all of it. So they're down there and they're asking Stephen Fry, their criminal accomplice, can you get us a job? He says, if you put this up his bum, I'll give you some money. And she's like, that's not a lot of money. He's all like, hey, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. So they leave.
Yeah, and then he immediately calls up Arena and says, hey, you got a big bounty on those two? Come to L.A., he just rats him out to her, right?
Yes.
So Stephen Fry can't be trusted.
He also has a Asian manservant named Kim, which I'm just going one Kim was probably sufficient.
Yeah.
You add a second Kim onto that, you're just dehumanizing this poor man.
Yeah.
Which more so than the movie does, because Stephen Fry just basically uses him as a human shield the entire movie.
Yep.
In a reoccurring joke that is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised Stephen Fry's in this movie.
Oh, he'll say yes to anything.
I'm kind of surprised by that. I always
Yeah.
thought he had like a bit of a high standard for himself, unless he absolutely needed the paycheck. Oh well.
Who's to say? I don't know. He had that sweet Cleveland Browns money. He couldn't turn it down.
That's right.
All right, so they go and they scam a hotel room at the fucking Chateau Marmont or whatever.
Yeah, he does like a fake slip and fall in front of a car, and they threaten to sue or whatever, so they get the penthouse suite or whatever.
Yeah, and then
he immediately gives up the game when they kind of carry him into the room, and he's like, "All right, piss off," and he goes and fixes himself a drink in front of the people,
and like
in front of the hotel manager.
And like Uma immediately orders like a personal shopper, just like not being like subtle about this whatsoever. This is where we find out that Uma Thurman and Maggie Q had somewhat of a romantic past together. And that's part of the reason why Maggie Q has it out for Uma, because not only did she steal some money, but
she broke her heart.
She broke her heart, damn it. And there's lots of like flashbacks of like the two of them in the past, including a wild moment where it's not really like shot graphically or anything like that, but based on the camera angles, I could only infer that Maggie Q is just snacking down on that ass.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like, whoa, she's just fucking going right in there. All right.
Was that the scene where they were talking in the hotel bar, right?
Yes.
And I swore that bartender looked a lot like Harvey Keitel to me.
Oh, no, it's just a man with a mustache, I feel.
He looked a little Keitel-ish to me.
Well, Keitel will say yes to a lot of things, but I think they maybe dropped that one off on the... I could have seen Harvey Keitel in the Tim Roth role, frankly.
Sure.
But, or even the Stephen Fry role. Yeah. But they dropped that script off on his door and he said, the con is off, bitch! Yeah.
So, at the bar, they just happen to see on the TV, breaking news is like Hollywood power couple, this director, played by Crispin Glover, having relationship troubles with his wife, played by Alice Eve. Does he have a mistress on the side, played by Sofia Vergara? And they just decide, hey, what a coincidence. Tim Roth, didn't you used to be married to Alice Eve?
For 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, let's go fucking con her. And that's how they're going to get the money.
And that's largely the extent of their plan. It's all like, I'm sure if you went and talked to her, we could find some way to get some money out of that. True artistes of the con.
Yeah, they're gambling on a lot of assumptions here, but hey, guess what? Goes off without a hitch.
Because she's a gambler, but also a terrible gambler.
She bet right on this one.
Yes.
So they rear end Alice Eve at an intersection, and Uma Thurman just she
dives into the bushes.
Making sure to take a bottle of vodka with her for the road.
And she takes Tim Roth's bottle of vodka because he's been sitting in the passenger seat swinging this like it's fucking Gatorade for like the next 2 minutes. The things that Tim Roth puts into his body would kill an elephant.
Yes.
At one point in time, he grabs someone's like medication and just eats it like fucking Tic Tacs. And it's insane. And it's just all like, no, that would kill you if you did that. And he just kind of like shrugs it off because he's Popeye.
And he's absolutely like fully lucid this entire movie, right? He's not slurring his speech or knocking shit over.
He never passes out. He's always drunk. He's always in a state of like 5 cocktails.
Yeah. So yeah, like he's reunited with Alice Eve,
who's immediately into him because, of course, Tim Roth is a sex god.
Yeah,
in this
I love how like he rams her car and Alice Eve just like immediately flips out like, you fucking wanker, and then oh my god, Tim Roth, it's been ages. And I gotta say, like, I kind of like Alice Eve in this movie, and I don't normally like her in shit.
I think she's fine in this performance. I think she has like some funny line readings. Like she's just a very new age, nouveau riche a housewife or whatever. I think it's like briefly mentioned that she's an actress, but like she's not in like Crispin Glover's movie. Like maybe she was in like his earlier movie and then she married him and then she stopped being in movies and that's when he started having an affair with Sofia Vergara, who's the new star of the movies. But she has like some funny line readings. She's like showing off like she lives with like her like yogi Gurmuk.
And who's all the spiritual hippy dippy stuff where it's like, I'm, a new enlightened person now, and like he told me to forgive you, and you know, all the transgression.
Because she also bailed Tim Roth out of jail when Uma Thurman abandoned him and whatnot, and I guess it didn't work out because he went back to Uma and everything.
And she just says, "Oh, so you're not with that awful woman anymore?"
Yeah.
Like so. Hey, remember that, audience. Yeah. She knows that he was with a woman named Harriet, but I guess she never saw her.
She never saw her in the flesh.
Okay,
which is going to be important later.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alice Eve has some funny lines, like when she's like walking through the house and she's explaining what Gurmuk is, and Gurmuk's only role in this movie seems to just cross his legs and go
Yeah.
And at one point, Alice Eve goes, "Oh yes, yes, thank you, Gurmuk, yes," in a very like sort of like casual sort of way.
Yeah.
She has like some moments, but like the character is just as shrill and annoying as practically everyone else is. And I mean, like, I don't know, there's a scene later where she gets like roofied and like it's kind of funny. Yeah, I'd give like a slight second place trophy to Alice Eve of like the second least deplorable person in this film.
I don't know, I like seeing her go a little extra and push herself beyond just being the love interest in like some bullshit rom-com or whatever. I don't know. It's the James Marsden thing where maybe a better character actor than I would have assumed, but they just get pegged with all these leading roles because they're good looking.
And I mean, like, Alice Eve had like the briefest of windows where she was a thing, and now she just kind of doesn't really get those opportunities at all anymore, and it's like it's a real shame. I don't know. I don't know. She's right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Put her in some stuff. Yeah. So Crispin Glover is a film director.
Yeah.
When I was younger and living in Calgary, the Calgary Film Festival, Crispin Glover came one year with a film that he directed, and like this is like, so like he's directed like these movies. I believe they're called What Is It? And they're like very experimental movies that mostly star people with Down syndrome as the actors. And the only thing I remember about it is there's like a scene where like someone takes off their shoes and socks and like squishes a bunch of bugs underneath their feet. It's like it's the movie you would imagine Crispin Glover would direct.
Yeah.
So like when he's in this movie as a director, I can only imagine that those are the type of films
movies
that he's making,
that he's like up for awards for
at the award awards.
Yeah, the coveted award.
he is when he wins his award, we do learn that he directed a movie called Le Rouge et Le Blanc.
Yeah,
or Le Noir and Le Rouge.
Yeah, the red and the black.
The red and the black, yeah, exactly. But yeah, Crispin Glover's in this movie, and he gives a totally chill, normal performance.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, not at all. He's like a totally recognizable human being, and every line is delivered like a human being would say it,
with like a smoldering intensity, and openly like strangles his girlfriend in front of a camera crew and shit.
There's a moment later on in the movie where he picks up a very tiny dog that he's angry at, and like no joke, I was worried for the dog's safety in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
He's staring at that dog, and I'm all like, he's going to hurt that dog.
Yeah.
And he's going to pop that dog in its mouth and just chew it up.
Yeah. I mean, there's a part where, and I think in that same scene, doesn't Alice Eve say, like, well, I'm leaving and I'm taking the dog with me, and Crispin Glover won't give up the dog, and she's like, let go of the dog. Let go of the dog. And he's not letting go, and his grip's getting tighter and tighter, and there has to have been a moment where she was like, let go of the dog.
Yeah, it's like, cut, Crispin, come on, let go of the dog.
You're going to hurt him.
The director like leaned over the producer and was like, get the backup dog. Yeah. I don't know if this one's going to survive until the end of the day.
Yeah. So, Alice Eve immediately invites Tim Roth, the guy who fucking rear-ended her, to her house. Just like, come and stay a while.
And he crashed into the back of her car.
Oh!
Because they were married! Oh! Because they were married.
Yeah.
Because she's all about forgiveness now, James.
Yeah.
Because Gurmuk told her to forgive.
Yeah.
And
come stay with me for a while. Crispin Glover's throwing this party. I would like you to be there. And it's like, you haven't seen this guy in a while, and you're just throwing yourself at him.
The last time you saw him, he was literally in jail, and you had to bail him out.
and she's got this this fake ass looking sapphire ring that is worth like millions of dollars, and that's what Tim Roth and Uma Thurman zero in on. Is like, this is how we're gonna pay off Irina.
This is how we're gonna pay off Irina. She has like this opulent ring that looks like a piece of costume jewelry that we can see on her hand, and they immediately go like, this is how we'll pay off Irina. And we later find out that the ring is like valued at like $5 million. They didn't know that at the fucking time.
Nope.
They had no idea what the value of that ring was. But all of a sudden that becomes the only plan.
Yeah.
Is to get the ring off of her finger. And like the very next scene, they go to a Chinese laundromat that I guess is a front for like making like fake rings.
They're gonna do the old switcheroo on
And like a ring that they saw one time.
Yeah, and I'm like, remember that, audience? They got a fake ring. This is gonna pay off.
They
someday.
get like an exact replica. Like, how did they find this woman? Not important. We have a fake ring now. And they just haven't. They're just gonna pull the old switcheroo. It's the lamest con.
It's the dumbest thing.
It's the dumbest plan ever.
So with Tim Roth being the house guest, he's invited over and he's exploring this like barren mansion. And, he meets Crispin Glover in the meditation room and he's like, get out!
It's his safe room.
This is my safe room! This is my safe room! Out! 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 Out!
Like, that just makes the most sense in the world. I can see myself being in, like, this empty mansion, like, wondering where everybody is, and opening a door, and
Crispin Glover's in there?
Crispin Glover's in there meditating, and he screams at me.
It happens more often than you would think. He gets around.
But he also meets two other people. He meets Crispin Glover's assistant, played wonderfully, I'm going to say, by Parker Posey.
Given a totally chill and normal performance.
I loved her in this fucking movie.
I really loved her too.
She's amazing.
She's amazing, and like there's gonna be one more instance where I tell that exact joke again, but Parker Posey is the most insane in this movie.
Yes,
out of a performance, out of a cast filled with people who are just like.
Give it a little bit more.
They crank the knob up to 11 and then they snap the knob off.
Yeah.
I truly don't know what to make of her character. Like, it took a very long time before we realized that she is Crispin Glover's assistant, who he's also having sex with, and is also in love with Crispin Glover. But she is completely unhinged. She seems to have a past history with Tim Roth in a way that is never explained in the movie.
It would make sense if she was, instead of being Crispin Glover's assistant, she is Alice Eve's assistant. Because then she would know that they had like a prior relationship. She knows that Tim Roth's up to something. And, she kind of goes in and out of being aware and being suspicious and then just being off the hinge.
And then just making like the most insane choice.
Yeah.
She has this crazy hairstyle.
She knocks on a windowsill in her opening scene.
She's always wearing a backwards American flag studded fanny pack.
Full of her drugs.
Full of her drugs, yes. Absolutely. And she's just absolutely cuckoo bananas.
Yeah, off in her own world, full of non sequiturs and left field choices.
And this character truly doesn't exist for any other reason other than to be yet another woman that Crispin Glover is also having sex with.
Yeah.
I think she's the only woman in the movie that turns down the advances of, well, not the advances of Tim Roth, because Tim Roth isn't putting anything out there.
Yeah.
But she does hit on Tim Roth.
At the party.
I forgot about that, but she does.
He's trying to make the move to get the ring, and like she's just out of her mind on either booze or her medication, whatever.
Probably both.
And she's like, why do married men always want to sleep with me? Take me now. And like she's like she's like blocking him from going up the stairs, and he's like, get out of my way. And she's like putting her leg up on his shoulder.
Oh, God bless her. And then she gets halfway up the stairs and she falls down. The camera just stays on her as she just very slowly. God bless Parker Posey.
She's great.
She's really great in this.
She really elevates the movie.
Back when I used to work at a restaurant that no longer exists, so I can drop its name, the Union in Vancouver.
Oh yeah.
She used to come in for brunch all the time.
Oh yeah.
Because she was filming Lost in Space around the area at the time, and like the first time she came in, like she literally showed up as like the stereotype of like a famous Hollywood starlet. She had sunglasses, she had a big hat, she had a little dog. But she was lovely. She was lovely every time, and I usually pride myself on knowing how to poach an egg perfectly. I've done it like so many times now that I can do it in my sleep. And one of the few handful of times I ever overpoached an egg happened to be for Parker Posey.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh no, but she was lovely about it. She was she was all like, hey, mistakes happen,
Yeah.
and we send the thing back. She'd come in, she'd just like talk with the bar staff. One time, she brought in a bag of organic vegetables that she had bought at like a local store, and she asked if we would cook them for her.
Yeah.
We had to say no. We had to turn Parker Posey down. And again, she was perfectly nice about it. She was all like, okay, sure. Kind of a fun, kooky lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nifty.
It is nifty. It's my nifty story. Yeah.
And the other person that he meets in the mansion is, I guess, the butler, like the young German butler,
Hans,
who in his opening lines says like, "Hey, Tim Roth, I will fuck you."
I would fuck you. Yeah. It's going to happen.
He's like, I doubt it might. Like, no, it's gonna.
No, it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I'm Jackie's assistant. I'm Hans. I will fuck you.
I seriously fucking doubt it, mate.
Yeah, it will happen.
9-9, you won't, mate.
Yeah, it will, I said.
9.
Oh yeah. I'll get around to it. I'll get you. I'll get you.
I nearly missed it at a moment because his introduction comes immediately after Parker Posey's introduction, and I was busy writing down like 10 insane things that happened. So like as I'm writing that down, I hear on the TV, "No, I would fuck you," and I'm like, "Wait, hold on, what?
Yeah.
What's happening now?
Yeah.
What madness is happening now?"
So it's the night of a party that Crispin Glover is throwing for Le Rouge et Le Noir.
It's like maybe a masked ball. It's like a masked ball for everyone who could be bothered to remember to bring a mask.
Yeah. Alice Eve and Uma Thurman thought this was a masquerade.
Yes, and truly no one else has a mask on.
Well, no. There's two. Okay, the women thought this was a masquerade.
Sure, maybe it was a masquerade just for the women.
There's this one part where at this party that I had to watch a couple of times because I was like, what was the point of this?
The two old ladies
talking about their experiences on like the flight's over, and she's like, I took British Airways and it had a private chef. Well, I took Air France and it da-da-da-da-da. And the camera just kind of zooms in on Tim Roth this entire time. And then he just like, turns heel and walks away from these old ladies. What was the fucking point of that scene?
It's a commentary on like high society and about how like the rich have like nothing to do but complain about the service that people lesser than them give them or whatever. I don't know.
I call it, this movie has to reach a certain runtime.
We gotta pad this out. Yeah, absolutely. And so the plan here is to slip a little Mickey into Alice Eve's drink, and then when she passes out, they'll switch the ring for another one, and Tim Roth says to Uma, and it's like, I don't know, she can hold her drugs surprisingly well.
Yeah.
And but they do it anyway. There's kind of a funny line where they slip it into some champagne, and he gives it to Alice Eve. He goes, well, aren't you going to drink it? And she says, no, I'm just sniffing tonight. I'm just sniffing alcohol.
Yeah. And then 10 seconds later, downs the drink.
Well, because she's upset at something Crispin Glover did, so it's like,
well, yeah,
I'm angry.
Sofia Vergara shows up, and
Sofia Vergara giving a totally chill and normal performance.
in one of her 2 scenes in this movie, because she's too busy filming that Modern Family show to be in this movie.
And literally every line of dialogue they give her to say in this movie is Crispin Glover, I want you to fuck me.
Fuck me here! Fuck me now! Fuck me! I want you to fuck me. Fuck me.
Why aren't you fucking me right now?
Yeah, when are you going to fuck me?
Fuck you for not fucking me, you fucking fuck.
Yeah.
And then she calls him later on in the movie and says, guess what? Still want that dick. Still want that weird Crispin Glover dick.
Yeah.
I'm just so... a massive plot point of this movie is 3 stunningly beautiful women all want to have sex with Crispin Glover.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. It makes no sense. That's the biggest con of all. It's trying to convince us that this man's
the
a sex
biggest
symbol.
con the devil ever pulled was
Yeah.
letting us know that Crispin Glover was attractive. I'm being mean to Crispin Glover. I'm sure he has what's his relationship status? I don't know. You describe the plot and I'll look that up.
All right. So the drugs hit Alice Eve, and she's acting all fucking loopy and everything, and she falls off a balcony And I thought to myself, oh shit, she must have fallen on her fucking head and she's dead. And now these con artists, like, they got to dispose of the body. Very next cut, she's walking around just fine. It is a terrible cut where you think, oh, is she dead? No, she's walking just fine.
Crispin Glover is a lifelong bachelor, citing that his busy career is one of the reasons why he felt unfit to be a father. He did briefly date a Penthouse Pet of the Month model from 2001 to 2003, so...
Really?
Yeah, there we go. So I guess hot women, it works for them. I don't know. Maybe he's...
I don't see it.
Maybe he's charming in person?
Oh, I've heard a couple of interviews with him.
Yeah, where he's doing karate kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they bring Alice Eve to like a spare room and try to get the ring off, but then Glover and Vergara come in and they almost have sex on the bed.
But Alice Eve makes her presence known, collapses on the bed, and kills the mood, and
the
Uma Thurman and Tim Roth like just sneak away.
They might as well just like stand up and walk out of the room for how obvious they're fucking being. It's just so ridiculous how like no one's paying any attention to them.
And like, Crispin Glover doesn't know who these people are. He's just going to assume, hey, these people, randomly came into my, spare bedroom and wanted to fuck at my party. Things are going to happen at a fucking Hollywood party.
And then if he
like
saw them, he would have said one of two things. He would have said, this is my safe space. Or he would have told them, I'm a film director. I'm a film director.
Yes.
I'm a film director. Crispin Glover just repeats. He gets like one line of dialogue, and then he looks at the script. He says, like, I got one line of dialogue. It's like, I want my part to be bigger. So he just says the same line of dialogue 8 times.
Hey, add that to the drinking game list.
Hey, there we go.
Uma Thurman and Tim Roth are back at their penthouse, and she chews him out for, like, I don't know, the plan going tits up. And she says to him, you reap what you sow, and you've sown nothing. And I'm just like, you keep selling this guy out. He spent time in jail for you. You want him to smuggle fucking heroin up his ass and like, hang out with the creepy Stephen Fry guy. Cut this guy some fucking slack. Anyways, I guess because of that, the next day Alice Eve comes up to the penthouse, somehow knowing that's where he is, and she says, I want you to come back to the house. And I guess because, he's mad at Uma Thurman, he decides to go with her.
They have, like, the briefest of, like, third act breakups, but it really doesn't lead to anything, because Uma goes with him back to the house, and this is where arguably the con becomes on.
Yes.
For the first time in the movie, because she has hired a dog whisperer because her little chihuahua is misbehaving, because this is a commentary on rich people. This is what they spend their money on.
Yeah.
And
like my chihuahua is stressed. Woe is me.
And of course she I guess answers the door and sees Tim Roth standing there with Uma Thurman, and her first thought isn't, oh, this is your bitchy wife who you're clearly still with and are conning me currently right now. Her first thought is, oh, you must be the dog whisperer. And Uma immediately does not say no, and she just kind of moves. She moves into the house.
Yeah.
Because that's how her process works.
Because that's how dog whisperers work.
Yes.
You just befriend the dog whisperer.
And there's this hilarious...
the misunderstanding.
The misunderstanding where Alice Eve says, I hope your Spanish is good, because she was a rescue from Mexico, and of course she's talking about the Chihuahua, but they are standing in the room with Juanita the maid, so of course you can see where this is going. Alice Eve sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, Uma Thurman doesn't know right away that she's pretending to be a dog whisperer yet. She's just conned her way into the house, and she's like, do you speak Spanish? Sure. Well, can you tell them that, like, I'm sick and tired of cleaning up after them and shitting all over my furniture? And she's like, okay.
Well, this joke actually does depend on the fact that Uma Thurman's character is, in fact, quite fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because she's, I guess, a con artist, so she might know several languages.
It tracks, yeah.
And so she talks to this poor maid and says, like, stop wiping your shit on. and this maid, Juanita, I'll say one thing, she has more self-respect for herself than Kim does, because she goes up and she just smacks Alice Eve in the face. I thought that was the end of that character, but apparently she remains employed throughout the rest of the movie.
Water under the bridge.
Under the bridge. Absolutely.
Misunderstanding.
Which, hey, good on Alice Eve.
Yeah.
They talked it out, and she realized, oh, you know what? What a hilarious misunderstanding.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to pull a fast one over Alice Eve. She's a bit of a ditz in this.
You can pull a slow one on over her.
So yeah, Uma Thurman, like, she's like trying to, she's saying to Alice Eve that, oh, your dog is very upset. She despises that ring. Why don't you get rid of the ring or something? And Alice Eve is like, hey, what kind of fool do you take me for? I'm smarter than I look. I know dogs don't wear rings.
but then she immediately says like she's playing you. She's trying to play you against me and everything.
And she's like, I'm very unimpressed with your dog whispering skills. But I guess you're my new best friend now, Dog Whisperer.
And
so you can stay at the house, too.
You can totally move into one of our many rooms.
Yep.
There's kind of like a funny bit where like Alice Eve is like isn't the dog like appreciative of like how much like I do for her? Like I'm a celebrity and everything. And Uma Thurman's like, she's never heard of you before.
Yeah, that bitch.
That bitch. Wamp.
Pretty cute.
At this point in time, Maggie Q has finally made it back to LA.
Yeah.
So she's on the prowl and she's looking for them, and she's teamed up with Stephen Fry and they're driving around in a car. And she has two thugs, one of whom, did you recognize this guy?
No.
Is .com from 30 Rock.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
He doesn't have any dialogue, but there's like one scene where like he corners a drunken Tim Roth at one point. I'm like, fuck, .com.
Oh, no way. I didn't recognize him. Huh.
Yeah. She's got .com in her employ. and they're driving around and they almost corner her at the Chateau Marmont, but Uma pulls a fast one on them and she slips. It's just
dumbest fucking shit.
Just a ridiculous fucking thing where like Uma Thurman's like sneaking out the back door with all of her luggage, turns a corner, and then like the second she's out of view, Maggie Q and the thugs step into view. It's all like, it's called peripheral vision.
Yeah.
She would have seen her. She was right there.
She sneaks by Stephen Fry in the car, like he's just happening to turn his head away to have a conversation.
The one
with Kidman.
moment where he wasn't looking in that direction.
If only you were tilting your head a couple of degrees to the right there. You
like the
would've
classic French farces of old.
And Maggie Q does her typical like where is she? And the people she's asking that to are like, where's who? And she just kills him.
And she just shoots him in the head.
That's just her thing.
Never ask Maggie Q questions.
No.
She hates it when you ask her simple questions to the thing that she just asked.
Yeah.
It's her least favorite thing.
Or just like any men that assume that she's there to like, to fix them a drink.
Well,
like,
she kills.
If she gets mistaken for a waitress, she's gonna slit your throat.
Look,
if you think that she's joining a poker game, she's gonna shoot you in the head.
Look, that first guy.
Do not assume Maggie Q.
Don't make an assumption. Don't do it. Look, that first guy, that was clearly on him because she does come over to the poker table and clearly say, where is Harry? And then the guy hears the question and says, like, why don't you go fetch us a drink, love? That's all like, okay, you're being an asshole. You got your throat slit.
Yeah.
The guy who just asked who?
Yeah.
Shot in the fucking brain.
But like everyone is being like a fucking dick to service people in this movie. There's a part where Uma Thurman and Tim Roth are having dinner and then like they're just chit-chatting and then the server comes by and says like, hi, how's everyone doing this evening? And Tim Roth's like, well, I was a lot better until a few seconds ago. I was like,
hello there, I'm Sandy. I'll be taking care of you guys this evening. How are you doing?
Well, a few seconds ago I was fine, but now I'm feeling rather depressed.
That's awesome. So our philosophy is this. We're a farm-to-table restaurant. It's all small plates, and we like to share.
Well, we don't. So, 2 very dry vodka martinis with a twist, please.
okay.
Well, they're doing like a commentary on like LA culture and like hipster culture and stuff like that. It's like, we're a farm to table restaurant. We're all about small plates here, and we emphasize sharing and everything.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
Get us
and
a
of
drink.
course they're like, oh, rubbly dubbly. Let me get.
Where's all drinks?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Jeez.
it's just like, I get it, movie. I get what you're trying to do, and it's just not funny at all.
Yeah. I mean, I just wrote down dinner scene here because I think the scene at the dinner table where
Crispin Glover almost eats a dog.
he almost eats a dog.
And like, and he's like projecting all of his insecurities about his filmmaking through the dog, and he's going like, "You don't like my movies, you find them mediocre." And then Parker Posey's in the corner doing the voice for the dogs, like, "No, I love your movies." They're good. And it's like, God bless you, Parker.
God bless Parker Posey.
You're doing God's work here. It's almost enough.
This scene at the dinner table. Now that I remember what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
You almost could have had a movie here. A nice
I agree. You could have had a movie.
So in this scene, it's all of Alice Eve's house guests, Tim Roth and Uma Thurman, sit across from each other. She doesn't know that Uma Thurman is Tim Roth's wife. and she's talking about, his marriage to that awful criminal woman,
Mm-hmm.
and tell me about her. She left him for dead in a prison. She led him astray. They met in a rehab. It's like totally wrong for him. And the two Connors are kind of like looking at each other like, this rube. And I'm thinking, maybe this should have been the scene, because I'm always trying to fucking improve movies, but maybe this should be the kind of scene where Tim Roth finally gets it that Uma Thurman's been awful to him his entire life. And maybe Uma Thurman realizes, shit, I have been kind of a bad person to Tim Roth. They need someone else to explain to each other that, you guys are kind of toxic to each other.
That would require them to be like characters capable of growth and change and introspection at all. Yeah. Tim Roth must realize that Uma Thurman is an absolutely terrible person, but I think he just kind of like stays with her. I mean, the movie never explains why he stays with her, but like he must stay with her just because he realizes this is the quickest way I can just get as fucked up as possible.
Yeah.
Because like
she's always around like card tables, which are near bars.
She will just bring me into situations where there will be drugs and alcohol that I can take. So I'm maybe not in love with this woman anymore,
but she can get me a fix.
She's my best get now. Currently, right now this is still the best situation I currently have.
Yeah.
Hans the butler walks by one time with a goat on a string, and that's never explained what that is. I don't know. Gay people are into some freaky sex. I guess that's what the movie's trying to tell us. I don't know. Or maybe Crispin Glover. Maybe the goat is for Crispin Glover's weird black and white movie that he's filming in the basement.
Sure.
I don't know.
Hey, I'll add it to this movie out of context compilation.
I don't. Yeah, out of. You
already made that.
I already made that joke, but I feel
becoming
like
predictable.
I feel like I can improve on it though. I gotta workshop it. All right, are we at the? They go to an actual goddamn opium den.
Yes,
which
they
is
do.
wild.
Yeah, they decide. Okay, well, they don't yet know that Stephen Fry has sold them out, so they go to meet him at like this drug den on a freighter, like a ship.
I don't know. It's wild. Like Tim and Uma are just all like, "Let's go out and get a drink, darling." And then they go to this place, and I'm just all like, and there's just like open tables of cocaine everywhere. And it took me half a second to realize, this is Stephen Fry's opium den.
Right, I forgot about that plot.
Because they got like the big ass pipes and everything like that. And Uma fucking smokes some opium on top of everything else that she's currently doing right now.
Fuck, you know what else? Before this, Stephen Fry and Irina are checking out all the 5-star hotels in LA, seeing if they can track down where these guys are. And they're like, we have no luck to find these. We have no idea where they're. We've stretched all our resources. And Irina just goes, just take me somewhere to get fucked up. And it just so happens to be the same opium den. Yeah. And before that scene, Uma Thurman and Tim Roth just say, okay, well, let's just get in touch with Stephen Fry. Now, what this movie needed was a scene where Stephen Fry is like, it's hopeless. We can't find these people. That's when they should call him up and say, hey, is that offer to do the heroin smuggling?
The bomb drug.
Is it still on the table? That's when he says, like, hey, now we can have a setup here. But now it's just by sheer luck.
They happen to be
in the same place.
Same place that they are, yeah.
Yeah.
And Uma gets captured, but Tim escapes, and
I think he just passes out because the drugs and alcohol finally take their toll on him.
Yes, the only time in the movie that actually affects him the way it would affect a human being.
And Uma Thurman is all tied up
from like a descending chair from like the roof.
Yeah, very practical.
Very practical. It's like the type of like torture chair that it's like you imagine like usually they put men in it. It's like the type of like chair where like there's like a false bottom.
Oh, the Casino Royale thing.
Yeah, the Casino Royale thing.
Yeah,
it's just
let's not elaborate on that.
Doesn't really work when it's a lady in there.
And she says to Irina, she promises to get her the ring that's worth like that'll like clear their debt, and then she's gonna leave Peter for her and just like give him to Stephen Fry.
And you completely believe her.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like...
Yeah, and Tim Roth is not in the room for this to actually hear it, to kind of understand, like, maybe she's playing her. Without him, like, being in the room, I'm left to think, I could absolutely see this horrible woman selling this poor guy out once again.
This fully feels like... Yeah, no, this feels like the actual truth that she's saying here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason that it doesn't end up going that way is because wacky circumstances happen, and they just sort of like accidentally end up back together at the end of the movie. But it could have gone the other way very easily.
Yeah, like she lets her go, and then the next day they're back at the big mansion. She's with Tim Roth, Uma Thurman's with Tim Roth again, and she doesn't even clue him in that, like, okay, listen up. I promised Irina all these things, but don't worry, I got a plan.
Because it could go either way.
Yeah.
Because she tells them where, like, I guess, like, the ring
is,
and I think they're just coming, like, full force to, like, storm the compound or whatever. I'm not really sure. At this point in time, Parker Posey is fully deluded into believing that Crispin Glover is going to divorce Alice Eve and get married to her. It is, of course, the night of awards.
It's the big awards night.
It's the big awards night. And he's up for the award for Best Director. And yeah, it's okay. All throughout this movie, Crispin Glover is saying, like, I'm up for a big award.
I'm up for the award.
I'm up for the award. I'm up for the directing award. And it's like, all right, so they didn't have the rights to say Oscars or whatever. They could to make up like anything. But like make up any name. Pick like any human name, anything name. Just put something there.
Awards, just to call it.
So Parker Posey is watching the TV. She's excited. She's watching Crispin Glover's category is coming up.
He's going to announce to the world on live TV that he loves Parker Posey.
And it just flashes across the screen. Awards! And that's all we get. It's the awards, everybody!
That is a fucking scam and a half.
I can't fucking believe that they left that in the movie. Because that's clearly a placeholder.
Yeah.
For like when they're doing like the graphic design for it.
We'll come up with the name later.
It's just awards.
Hey,
it's like the template that came with the computer. Oh my god.
Did you ever come up with a name for this award show yet?
Shit.
Oh shit, no, the movie's already out.
So he's at the awards with Alice Eve, and Parker Posey is sitting at home, and I wrote this down because it was funny. She's
like shucking and jiving and everything.
She's made a cake that says, "The winner, I love you, your wife."
Hey, you know what? He's got 3 women to choose from, so like that could have been anyone.
And by amazing coincidence, the person who is presenting the award to Crispin Glover just so happens to be Sofia Vergara. So I don't know if she planned that or whatever. Who I guess is also the star of Le Rouge et Le Noir.
I guess so, yeah.
But he wins and he goes up and he thanks Sofia Vergara and he doesn't thank Alice Eve and he doesn't thank Parker Posey.
Well, in his speech, he's like, "I'm going to dedicate this to my muse." You know, his mistress, Sofia Vergara, and round of applause. You know, like the big talk of Hollywood is like, oh, is his marriage on the rocks? And then like he wins the award for Best Director, and you know, he just announces, yeah, it's true, I have been fooling around with my wife with Sofia Vergara, and just a round of applause for that.
No, she's still also the star of his movie. You still could technically call her the muse of his movie and just not invoke any of the affair stuff. But of course. That's what leering eyes and gossip columnists are leaning into, of course. But I guess the awards must have been like fairly close to the mansion because Alice Eve is back home almost immediately.
Yep, pissed off that Crispin Glover says that he doesn't love her, he loves Sofia Vergara, and it's just like, yeah, but you kind of knew this already. You kind of knew that your marriage was on the rocks and that you're kind of itching to get back together with Tim Roth or at least leave Crispin Glover.
At least just
you should not be surprised by this.
No, but like she's still like publicly humiliated or whatever.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
And meanwhile, Parker Posey has drunkenly put her face into an entire cake, and it comes out with a perfect white face mark around her. Not at all what it would look like.
Yeah, perfect ruby red lips for that.
And then Uma Thurman and Tim Roth, ostensibly the leads of this movie, are just kind of wandering around the house at this point.
Yeah.
It briefly becomes a movie largely about Crispin Glover for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
Just like a bunch of shit goes nowhere. They lock Parker Posey in a freezer, and then
because she's delusional and she's like I'm gonna kill Tim Roth for whatever reason, and he locks her in the fridge. At this moment, Alice Eve comes into the room to find her dog whisperer and says like I need to talk to my dog. You know, where is she or whatever the fuck. Sees the dog, and because Parker Posey's in the fridge, she's all like, help me, I'm cold. And like for the briefest of moments, I thought to myself, oh my God, are they setting up this joke where she thinks that Parker Posey's cries for help? She believes that's coming from the dog.
I mean, they do, but then they abandon it immediately.
Yeah, and she's looking at the dog, and she's like, all right, Parker Posey, where are you?
Like, that's a terrible joke, but like...
I'm kind of glad they subverted the expectations.
At least commit to it. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, they set up all these jokes, and then like midway through the setup, they're just all like, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. It was a dumb idea anyway.
Yeah.
And this is and then Maggie Q and Stephen Fry and the rest of the gangsters show up.
Yeah, they kill the German butler.
And this is where the movie inexplicably enters the underworld universe, because it starts becoming like aggressively day for night.
Yeah,
it becomes a blue ass fucking movie out of nowhere.
I was shocked to see Day for Night as something like this that already had scenes filmed at night.
Yes.
Why the
multiple scenes? What was the point of this? It's like people clearly walking around in the middle of the day. It's not even like...
Are they trying to suggest that this is set at dawn?
Well, it must be, because like shortly after this scene, like Uma and Tim are in the car and it's just day again.
Yeah.
So like what point in time is this? Like, we just saw Crispin Glover accept his award, and then like seemingly in like 20 minutes film time, he and Sofia Vergara are back at the house. It's like, wasn't there an after party you wanted to go to? You won an award, my man.
You want to go back to
You're top dog.
You want to go back to the mansion where your current wife, Alice Eve, is still at.
But he's not thinking anything, because he's just like wandering around outside going, I won. And Sofia Vergara's going, fuck me. And it's all like, oh my God, I hope they were paid well.
And then all three women, show up there. Alice Eve, Parker Posey, and Sofia Vergara, just like, he's mine. No, he's mine. And they're like, ladies, you can all have me. And you're a bastard, Crispin Glover. I hate you. I love you. It's just... What the hell is happening in this movie?
And all this builds up to is Alice Eve finally takes the damn ring off her finger, throws it over her shoulder, and amazingly, it just so happens to land directly into a glass of champagne drunk by Uma Thurman.
Yeah. I can believe it.
Whatever gets the movie over at this point. So Uma and Tim abscond with the ring. Maggie Q shows up, points the gun at all three of them.
Yeah,
and she's all like, where are they? And all three of them ask her a question. And at this point in time, I'm all like, I think I know what's coming next. But she doesn't. She doesn't kill a single one of them.
She doesn't kill women, apparently.
She doesn't kill women.
Yeah.
She probably could have shot Crispin Glover. Do us all a favor.
Especially since they all assume that she's yet another mistress of his.
Right, exactly. And then Maggie Q realizes that Uma ran out on her, and so she goes and they have like a little mini shootout in the parking lot, and Crispin Glover, Sofia Vergara, Alice Eve, and Parker Posey all vanish from the movie, and that's it. That's a wrap. Nothing is resolved. They are still in the backyard arguing to this day.
Yeah, they still got to figure this out, all four of them.
And like Stephen Fry, there's also the briefest of moments where Stephen Fry sees Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman points a gun at him. He tries to use Kim as a shield again, and then that's a wrap on Stephen Fry.
He doesn't die.
No, it's just like we gotta wrap this up. We gotta get out of here. Where did Uma get her gun?
I don't think she always had it.
No, it's like, I definitely remember there's like a moment where like Irina is running after her. They like duck behind a car because she's firing bullets at them. And then all of a sudden Uma starts returning fire. And I legitimately asked, where did she get that?
Did she judo chop one of her henchmen, one of Irina's henchmen to get a gun?
I don't remember that.
Jesus, yeah.
Oh, I forgot. There's kind of a funny line where Hans the butler gets shot. And then Stephen Fry says, well, if you're wearing shorts like that, you must assume you're going to get shot at some point. Yes, of course, yes. I like opium. And then, I don't know, Maggie Q lets her get... Oh, no, she shoots Maggie Q.
Yeah.
And she throws the ring at her.
Yeah.
And then they get away.
And I'm assuming, that must have been
they pulled the old switcheroo.
Pulled, threw the false ring at her. And then at the airport...
The movie pulled the switcheroo on us, the audience.
Uma Thurman, directly was... Bugger all. I threw the wrong ring at her. We got the worthless one.
We also forgot to mention throughout this entire movie, Uma Thurman's doing her amazing British accent. And it basically is, oh, pip, pip, cheerio, meat and two veg, like it is. She's a good actor, but my word, accents maybe aren't her strong suit. Especially this one.
I fucking
But
what?
yeah, she throws away a $5 million ring. And her reaction to it is like the reaction you would have if you left your sunglasses at the hotel.
Ah, shit.
Like, God. Oh, well.
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
I'll get another one.
It's like, but I guess Arena's been paid off now because she has
she has the real ring. Their debt is settled. And
although she did shoot her in the hand, so she might be still pissed off at that.
For revenge.
But
yeah.
whatever.
You broke her heart twice now, this fucking international crime lord. And Uma Thurman and Tim Roth have a happy ever after where they just continue being thieves.
They
pickpocket people at the airport
because they don't have
money. They have no money left.
It seems like they pickpocket their passports, but they must have had passports to get to America in the first place.
Oh yeah,
or fake passports or something.
It was like their pocketbooks in their wallet.
Right. They I don't know. They pickpocket. I mean, even that wouldn't work because it's like an old American couple, and they are decisively not that.
Yeah.
And then Uma sees a fancy lady with a fancy necklace, and she's like, "I've got an idea." The
con is on.
The con's back on.
Harry and Peter will return in. Mercifully, there will never be a sequel to this movie.
Hey, never say never. Maybe those Cleveland Browns have a good season, and then all of a sudden,
they've turning things around. All right, anything that we didn't fucking talk about here? I was kind of saving that Harvey Keitel bartender thing for what we didn't talk about.
I don't know.
Uma Thurman's trying on a dress, and she says, "How do I look, Tim Roth?" And he goes, "Fucking whore." Oh no, not you, the TV.
Because he was looking at Alice Eve.
I see my wife on the my ex-wife on the TV.
I don't know. There was a moment where Stephen Fry gets a phone call at one point in time, and I guess someone has some information on Uma and Tim. He goes "Cedric, how are you, old boy? All healed up after last time?" And I'm all are we gonna learn who Cedric is and what was going on with all that? I think that was a
little bit of improv.
This was a little. I mean, okay, this entire fucking movie feels like it was one big improv.
Yeah.
And not in a funny way. It truly feels like nothing was written down. Characters just kind of stumble into a room, ask a bunch of questions, shout a lot, and then exit the room repeating the same line they just said 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And that is how multiple scenes play out in this movie.
I just thought of one other funny thing.
Yeah.
And this is something Crispin Glover did. He's having dinner with Alice Eve, and then he just gets a text message, and he smashes his glass in the most exaggerated, scary, intense way Crispin Glover could. And then in the most casual, nonchalant way, he just says, "We need new glasses." I liked that.
He's an interesting fella. So that was The Con is on.
Oh yeah.
God, what a dreadful experience that
Kaz,
was.
do you think this has a certain something, or is it a whole lot of nothing?
It's a decisively fiasco-ish whole lot of nothing. It has some genuine top tier talent in it who shortly after the cameras began rolling must have realized what kind of movie this was, what kind of production this was, and then they just wisely decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go as over the top as possible, and absolutely no one was there to reel them in. I mean, Maggie Q is given an actual performance. She's playing a steely bad guy in this.
Yeah.
She's not. She isn't given the opportunity to do anything funny at all.
Yeah, she's given that role the appropriate amount of gravity that it kind of demands.
Right.
But everyone in this movie has this little private game of one-upmanship with everybody else, and I think because of that, I don't like the movie. The movie is fucking absurd and ridiculous, but just the lunacy that happens in it is just enough for me to be well, at least I'm having a blast watching it.
I was kind of into the movie for a little bit, but it just got old, and it's I'm an easy sell if you show me an irascible drunk who's always swigging whiskey or whatever. It's all that guy, he's living by the edge. But if you just keep doing, if that's all you have,
it's literally all that is.
It just gets so dull eventually. It just like by the 80th time he did it, I'm just all like, okay, yeah, I get it. He likes to drink alcohol.
Yeah, it's, you know, at one point it kind of reminded me of the dude in The Big Lebowski. In the
Of course,
in the way
yeah.
that he just sort of like weaves in and out through scenes, like kind of not paying complete attention to what's going on. He's just like looking for the bar, really disinterested in what other people are saying, and then like occasionally something will be like, oh, maybe I should follow this along.
Yeah.
I kind of grabbed onto that a little bit, but other than that, like, I don't know, there's little sparks of funny characterization with everyone in this movie, but it doesn't save the movie.
No, not at all. No, I just hated it.
Sorry, Uma.
I just didn't. Sorry, Uma, but hey, you're the president of the goddamn United States of the goddamn
No one can take that away
No
from
one
you.
can take that away from you. You're married to Clifton Collins Jr.
Yeah, and you...
In the movie. Not in
Oh,
real life.
okay, yeah.
She's not married to a famous person anymore.
Her daughter's famous, though, right?
Her daughter's famous, and her daughter's actually a very good actor.
Yeah.
And she looks exactly like what would happen if you crossed Uma Thurman with Ethan Hawke. That is exactly what that lady looks like. Yeah, her daughter has a small role in that movie I mentioned, The Kill Room, the Samuel L. Jackson movie, but she's not playing her daughter. She's playing like her assistant, and I'm like, you can't do that. You can't. If she looks exactly like her mom, you can't not cast her in a movie together with her mom.
Yeah,
in scenes with her mom.
Raises a few questions, I'd say.
Yes, indeed.
Well, that was The Con is On.
It was on, and now, blessedly, we can turn it off. And before you turn this episode off,
if you haven't done so already.
thank you
Yeah.
for being
Thank
with
you.
us this far. And if you want to listen to some more episodes, hey, check us out.
We got your back.
We're on the Spotify. We're on the YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you already know that Jameson adds all of these visual images and clips and things from the movie. So,
But if you're blind, go check out the Spotify episodes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to get someone to open the app for you and download it and then put the
Sure.
earphones on. Well, no, you can put the earphones on you. You have hands.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck it's called now,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. You can follow me on Letterboxd. I'm Kaz Lesgard. My avatar currently is the late, great Dick Butkus from Hamburger the Motion Picture.
One of the all-time greats.
One of the all-time greats. And hey, holiday season's right around the
It
corner.
is, yeah.
So we'll see you soon for a long-awaited episode that we've had in the books for a while.
I can't wait. I'm not even gonna like make new notes for that movie. I'm just gonna use the ones.
Just use the old ones. Not even gonna rewatch it. Just like it's
I'm
reminiscent of a movie that we watched from.
I'm gonna have to rewatch.
No,
that.
I got the DVD.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch this so I can get myself into that holiday spirit again.
Absolutely.
You know. Okay.
Well, next time we'll be here. We'll be Holly. We'll be Jolly, and I'll be Kaz.
And I'll be Jameson as always. And I'll leave you with the wise words of Uma Thurman. This is what you get for fucking around with the Yakuza. Go home to your mother.
Excellent.
That's a good sign off if
You know
I ever
what?
heard one.
You know what? That's good advice for all of us.
Exactly.
Go home to your mother.
Go home to your mother. Call your mother.